Oh, we're
Hi,
starting.
everybody. I am Blake Cabot. I am the owner of facepaint.com, and I am here with Yasmeen Hart, as always, recommended by Pam Kinneberg. And Yasmeen is Hartworks Face and Body Art. She lives in Tallahassee, Florida. She's been face painting for 14 years. She's taught at ACE, Body Art Fest, and she wants to do Max next year. So she teaches all sorts of wonderful things. She's a great face painter. We're thrilled, as always, to have another fabulous artist. Always excited about this. And Yasmin, take it away.
Hi. Thank you for the great introduction. I'm Yasmeen. This is my niece, Kai, and she's going to be my
Hi, Kai.
beautiful model for today. So we're going to go over just how I do my butterflies. I know it's a very popular topic amongst other face painters. So I'm very much a sponging on and then doing a lot of fancy line work with that. But there are skills that can be transformed into doing more one
Hey,
stroke
Kim.
or things with stencil. So, this can be used in a lot of different ways. So we'll get started right away. Move my stool real quick.
Oh, one thing I'm going to try to do this time, which I think I got some feedback saying, don't do whatever I've been doing all this time, which is interrupt people with questions. So when you get to a natural break, just say any questions,
Okay, I
and
can
then
do
I'll
that.
I'll save up the questions for that.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so I'm going to get your hair behind your ears. And I already consulted with my beautiful model and I asked her if these colors were okay. I made this one stroke with GTX colors, mostly neon, some other ones in there too. So I'll be using that today and probably outlining with GTX Sangria. So we're just going to use a little teardrop sponge here or petal sponge. I spray my sponge, not my paint, and just spray it like that. Sorry to get you a little wet. All right. And I'm going to go with the more warm colors here on the top and just go back and forth like that. You want to make sure this one I have not used yet. So because it's not activated from before, you want to make sure you go back and forth quite a bit to make sure your sponge is fully saturated before you start going on the face with it, just to save you some time. So if you have to go back, spray your sponge again and do
You
it a
can
little
put it
bit more.
a little higher.
Oh, sorry. Sorry
Yeah,
about that.
thanks.
There we go. So we got all those beautiful colors on there and we're ready to
Mhm.
go. So I usually have my model or whoever I'm painting tilt their head up just a little bit because I am tall. I am a 5'11 girly. If you can close your eyes for me, please. And make sure you put that little corner of the sponge right in the corner of the eye.
I'm at the age where I'm shrinking.
I know. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to shrink or not. I still feel very tall. So we're just using the size of that sponge and the shape of it just to get right in there.
Heroes face paint. Oh, I'm not supposed to interrupt.
That's okay.
It says those are beautiful colors,
Oh, thank you.
and Gasheki always loves these from Wausau, Wisconsin. Hello, California.
Oh, wow. I have not been to Wisconsin or California. I've been slacking on my United States travel, so I need to be better on that.
Road trip.
Road trip. I know, right? Any face painters down to have me? I will gladly come. So I'm just gonna get a little bit more on my sponge here and
Yep.
start on those bottom wings.
Hello, Germany.
Hello, Germany. All right, so we're going to use that same rounded edge, get right on the outside corner of the eye and sponge it on.
Hello,
I know
Oman.
there's a little bit of space there on the inner corner. I'm going to go back in with a different sponge to fill that in. So right now we're just focusing on the shape. And I should have said this before I started sponging on, but normally, you can open your eyes for a minute. If you have trouble with your symmetry, which a lot of people do when it comes to butterflies and things like that, I always sort of refer back to the invisible X. So you could take two straight things. Right now I have two paintbrushes and find the middle point right on the bridge of the nose and make your X. And that's sort of going to be your guideline of where you want your butterfly to go. And usually with the bottom wings, especially, sometimes people get a little bit bigger with that and it starts to drag down the face a bit. So a general rule of thumb is just keeping the bottom wings up above the nose, the bottom of the nose. If you use some little swirly twirlies like that go down, a little goes a long way. You don't need a lot, but just generally keeping it nose and up, make sure that the design is more lifted.
Okay. Hello, Serbia, France,
Oh,
Oman,
wow.
Lithuania, and Mexico. Two Lithuanians.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and Pleasantville, New York.
Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for joining today. All right,
Yep.
so I'm going in with a little bit of Ziva Blue from Superstar, and then I
Hey,
mixed
Mara.
it with a bit of a sort of green color from Superstar as well. I don't know what the color is named, but I'm going to fill in that inner corner with that
Okay.
so I could bring that cooler tone back. Yes, I
Looks
could have just added some from that one stroke, but I just wanted a little shine in that inner corner like that. And then with the paint I still have on this sponge, I'm going to add a little color in the center of her butterfly here. Just focusing on the purple and pink and orange, if I have enough of it. I'm very much a stickler of like, just use all the paint that you have on your sponge. You know, don't let it go to waste. If you still have it on there, then use it, you know?
Mhm.
We don't want to waste money around here. We want
Yeah.
to make money.
There is some of those goals. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got some of that pink and purple there. This is a good time to add your glitter. So we're going to add a little bit of this orange glitter I have. And
Hello,
she already
Belgium.
has her eyes closed. And we're going to poof that on just for a little sparkle while it's a little tacky still. So that's pretty much the base I have. Normally I would leave this base the way it is, but because we're doing a tutorial, I can show you different things that we can do. I'm going to go in with a 1/2 inch angle brush and just add some little details in there before I go in with my round brush. And I'm still going to use that same Artie cake and just get some of this darker blue and purple here and add some details. Any questions so far? I think.
No, but hello, Missouri.
Oh,
Uh,
hello.
a lot of compliments on the colors. Argentina, Wisconsin, USA, Portugal, Tennessee,
Wow.
Belgium, and hi, Chicago. I missed the name of the split cake color. What was it again? Love it, says Renee.
This one is actually made by me from GTX paints.
Okay.
I'll have the breakdown of those colors and I'll post that later.
Okay.
Most of them are the UV paints from GTX. Some of them are the regular colors, but most of them are UV
And
reactive.
Stockton, Missouri.
Hi, Stockton. All right, so I got some of that blue and that purple. And again, I normally, if I have a long line, this is not a step that I do. But if I'm at a birthday party where I could have a little bit more time to spend on each face, then I'll add some more detail there. So I'm just going to go around the outside edges here and add a little bit of this
Did
blue
you
and
use
purple.
did you use the spine upside down on the top wing?
Did I use the sponge upside down?
Spine
The spine of my
brush.
brush.
Yeah, I think so.
Um, did I have it upside down? No, I had it this way, and
Okay.
the longer end of the brush is up toward the top. If that answers the question.
I think so. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Mhm.
Oh, I think it's the no, it's the sponge. Sorry, not the brush.
Oh no, I have the sponge regular up, but then I just use the edge here to
Okay.
add a little bit more point of that purple.
Okay. Great.
Just because I was sort of missing a little bit of that purple, so I added a little bit more. So I'm just
Okay.
going around the edges, sort of mimicking what I'm going to do with my round brush. So just doing a pointed shape up at the top, then doing more of a rounded one. And I'm going from side to side. That's a good way to help your symmetry if that's something that you struggle with or something that you want to improve on. Just go one side and go to the other one immediately after. Then we're going to do another rounded shape right here on the outside of the eye. Same thing on this side. And you can already see that shape of the butterfly coming to life there. Now I'm going to rinse out that blue and purple and I'm going to change it up for the bottom of the butterfly and do more of like a purple and pink just to keep that rainbow flare. Same Artie cake though. We're still using the same one, guys.
Okay. Another couple shout outs. Hello, Fort Bragg, Brighton, UK.
Oh,
Hello, UK,
wow.
Lithuania. Okay, that's
Hello, everyone.
and we've
Thank you for joining.
got more than that. More people from Missouri, California, South Carolina,
Lots of Missouri. Okay, Missouri's showing out.
Argentina. Yeah.
Beautiful. Turn this way a little bit more, baby. Thank you.
And everybody likes your model.
Oh,
Letty
isn't
says
she perfect?
she is
I
so
love her.
patient and pretty. So there we go.
Yes. I've been painting her ever since she would let me. So this is my niece, Kai. I love her very much.
That's good.
So we're just mimicking the same thing on one side that we're doing to the other. Pointed, then round, pointed, then round. And when you're working your way up into that inner corner, make sure you start getting smaller with those shapes. So I'm flipping my brush from being more angled up to angled down and going up toward that inner corner. So we're going smaller and just little round shapes here, like that. I did 3, so I'm going to do 3 on the other side. 1, 2, and 3. And since we have some space up here, we're going to add some stencil. Again, this is a very elaborate version of my butterfly, but when I have the time to do it, why not, you know? And I really like my BAM stencils whenever I do need to use them. So I'm going to use a little bit of this one today with some hot pink. I think that would be very cute. Some of that on a different sponge this time, just using a little porter sponge here. And getting some hot pink loaded. If you want to use a powder with this, you can, but I just typically load up a sponge with a little bit of paint. Less water with paint for sponging. You don't want to have too much water on there. And then we're going to get it placed and hold it with your non-dominant hand. Oops, didn't mean to smack you there. And then just pounce it on. You can sort of drag it if your sponge is dry enough, but otherwise you want to sort of pounce it to get that color on. And there we have a little bit of texture there. And with that same stencil, but with a little bit of yellow, I'm going to add some stencil onto her butterfly as well. Because more is more. Am I right?
Always, always.
And I'm just getting a little bit of, I think this is Krylon Bright Yellow. It looks like that on the sponge, very nice and warm. And we're going to go on that right sort of in the inner corner where that green is and pop a little bit of yellow. I'm using the shape of the stencil a little bit to get right in that corner. And I'm going to add, again, my sponge is pretty dry, so I'm able to drag it a bit. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Just got to make sure your sponge is nice and dry for that.
Okay.
There we go. Looking cute, looking fancy. All right, so now we're going to go in with my round brush. I'm going to use a round number 3 from King Art. It looks like this. And a general rule of thumb for round brushes when I'm painting is that I keep some brushes for dark colors, round brushes for dark colors, and round brushes for light colors. And those do not intertwine. They do not interchange, I meant. So you want to make sure you don't muddy up your white when you're painting.
What color is the green?
The green, I know it's a Superstar. I'm not sure of the name.
Okay,
Most of my metallic colors in my kit are from Superstar.
got it.
But I mixed the green with Ziva blue as well. So it has a little bit more blue hint to it. But it's sort of like a seafoam green. I know that's probably not the name, but
Pam Ginneberg says, "Hi, Yasmeen.
hi, Pam.
Great tip to use a different color on your angle brush on the top and bottom so it stays in the rainbow theme."
Yes, yes. I feel like it's a good way to sort of add more color to an already rainbow face. Thank you, Pam. I
Victoria
appreciate that.
says it's Superstar Green Shimmer, she thinks.
Yes,
And
yes.
Terry says, is it water-based? Yes, it's
Yes,
water-based.
all these paints are water-based. That is right.
And do you
And
mark your light and dark brushes so you don't get them mixed up, Kara asks?
I don't, but that is a good question. So the way that I know which ones are for which is you can see the bristles on each one are either white stained or dark stained, and that's
Yeah.
how I know.
Okay.
So I keep them like I have a brush holder, so I keep them in separate little pockets as well. But you know, each person knows their own kit the best, but that's how I determine which ones are for darker colors. They usually have the stained bristles. That was a good question, though. I really appreciate that. I was also going to respond back to Pam. I did that with the one stroke with the half angled brush with the different colors. I'm also going to mimic that with my line work that I'm about to go in with right now. So
Okay.
it'll play into that as well. So I'm going to go in with this dark blue, sort of like that ink blue. I know a lot of different brands make it. I think this one's Fusion. I'm going to outline the top with that. And then on the bottom, I'll be outlining with GTX Sangria.
Okay.
Hopefully
And a few shout outs. Hello, Rockland, Massachusetts.
Hello.
UK, Penrith, New York, Arizona, Columbia, but now lives in Norwich, UK. These strokes are so hard for me since I'm a lefty.
See,
Yeah.
I have no skill with this hand whatsoever. So I'm like, I need to start trying to paint with both hands. That would be awesome.
We've got a master class that Kathy Vergara did on facepaint.com. It costs $10, and it's all about how to paint left-handed.
Wow. Okay. I need to do that.
And Sandy says hello from Virginia.
Hello.
And GTX Sangria is one of her favorite paints.
I love that paint to outline with. I outline with it all the time.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to go in again. This is my number 3 King Art round brush. And I'm going to start with the top wings first. Typically, even though I always try to preach starting from top to bottom, I usually start at the outer corner and then work my way down. But because I already have this loaded up on my brush, I'm going to start off with the top wing first, starting with over the eye and just doing like a cat eye shape like this, making it pointed and bringing it into that outer corner. And then we're going to get a little bit more. And we're just following the shapes that we already did. So again, I did a pointed one up here, then round, then round. So I'm going to go up to that top one through the eyebrow. Don't be afraid of the eyebrows. I know it's hard. And we're just going to follow what we already got. So I did that pointed shape, then a round one, and then another round one. And if I was going really, really fast, you know, I could leave it like that, but we're going to go in and add more stuff. I'm going to start with just doing the same thing on the other side, and we'll add more detail after that. All right, so turn this way a little bit, baby. Thank you.
Art's mom says, I use a tiny strip of blue paint for all my dark color brushes. There we are.
Oh, nice. Okay, so just to mark it out, just to know. Sweet. I might have to do that. So we're doing the same thing on this side that we did on the other side. Start off with that winged eye. And then we're going in here. And then round and round. Now we're going to add some of those little veiny parts. Hold on one second. Someone is disturbing our live. Okay. Oh, hello. Okay. There we go. We still on there. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. We still on and popping?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So now I'm going in and I'm just going to add some of those sort of veiny lines onto the top wings. And I'm just going to make a rounded shape here on that pointed one. Same thing on the other side. Again, going back and forth as your friend with symmetry. And then we're going to do a thin to thick teardrop right inside that little U shape we created there. So starting off real thin and dropping it down, and then thin and dropping it down. Those are a little bit harder for some people than others, and that is okay. It just takes practice. You know, if I can do it, I always say, if I can do it, anybody can do it. It just takes a lot of time and practice. So make sure when you're practicing your line work, you're practicing your thick to thin teardrops and your thin to thick ones, because you want to be able to do both. All right. Any questions on anything? Still doing all right?
Nope.
Okay, sweet. No questions is good in my book, as long as everybody's still following.
Yeah, so far.
All right. So I'm just gonna add a couple more of those little veiny bits here. I know it's getting a little dark, but we're going to fix that later. And then I'm gonna add a little teardrop up at the top. That's where it curved. Same thing on the other side. Looking beautiful. Now I'm going to rinse out that brush and go into that sangria color I was talking about before from GTX. Same brush, just loading up that instead. And we're going to start on the bottom wings. To me, a lot of times when you're painting someone, luckily Kai here has a beautiful proportionate face where she has a lot of forehead and she has a lot of cheek space. But whenever you have someone that has a little bit of a smaller forehead, you can be a little bit more elaborate with the bottom wings and vice versa. So, you know, with everybody's face, it's going to be different. But just
Heroes says that's a beautiful design.
thank you. I appreciate it.
There's a request to zoom in more.
Zoom in. Okay. I can do that. Let me zoom in a little bit more.
And Victoria says, I got scared to do the wing dye on small kids. If they open them up before they dry, it makes a mess. Any tips from telling them to keep their eyes closed?
Yeah, so normally on little kids, I am a little bit more particular. Sometimes I do avoid the eye space altogether. Just because, well, not like I do a sponge base, but I don't really do too much when it comes to the line work on the top of the eye. So really have to gauge out with how old they are and how much they're able to, you know, take. So use your own better judgment for that. Is that better with the zoom there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Thank you. Brooke says, hello from San Antonio. I would have never thought to do butterflies this way. I love it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Brooke.
Sorry, I don't see the question, Rebecca. Butterfly, Angelia says, butterflies are my nemesis. My hardest part seems to be the sponging. It's always messy. Wipers are my friend. Any tips?
With sponging, I usually do like less is more for that. Typically, I don't even usually pick up my big arty cakes for that. I usually use a half sponge like this and do one color on one side and one color on the other side, especially when I'm going more speedy. And just making sure that you're having less water and more paint on your sponge, because that is going to help with your drying time, and being able to go right back on top of it with line work right afterwards. I think a lot of people, when it comes to sponging on the base, they typically have a little bit too much water and then they're like, man, it's not dry. And then like when they put line work on top, it gets muddy and they're not happy with it. So you just have to sort of play around with the texture of the paint. When you're practicing at home, making sure that when you do spray your sponge, if you can squeeze it and it's like dripping out, you have too much water in there. But if it's like too dry when you try to put it on skin, then add a little bit more water. So I think it's more just like playing around with that at home, and making sure that if it feels good to you, it's most likely going to feel good for somebody else. Hopefully that sort of answered that question.
Brooke says, I tell them to close eyes gently.
Yeah, easy, not squeezy eyes is something I say a lot, but sometimes kids just still have squeezy eyes.
Rebecca says, I'm not sure I understand about the brushes for light and dark. Aren't you cleaning them thoroughly anyway for hygiene so there wouldn't be any paint left? If there is, then the germs aren't all washed away either.
Yes, they are cleaned out all the way, but the bristles themselves get stained from the darker colors. So that's why I was saying, you know, my brushes I use for darker colors have a darker bristle than my ones I use for white and lighter line work.
Okay, great.
All right, so I'm just going to get some more of that GTX Sangria real quick, and we'll go in on those bottom wings. And I'm still using that number 3 round. I usually fluctuate between a number 2 and a number 3 round brush. You doing okay, baby? Okay. All right, so we're going to tilt you this way a little bit so we can see that side. So typically, to separate the top and bottom wing, I do a series of little teardrops at the corner. And I usually do like 3 or 5. Here I'm going to do 5. So I'll start with one long one. And then I'll go in 2, 3, 4, 5. The sort of fanning out underneath the eye here. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Starting with one long one and going smaller as we go in. 2, 3, 4, 5. And sometimes I say that out loud when I'm painting, just so I make sure I'm doing the same thing on one side that I am to the other. It helps. Kids get a little giggle out of it too. They're like, are you talking to yourself? I'm like, yeah. It's helping me. Thank you. So then after that, we're going to go back to this side. And again, we're going to just follow what we did before. So starting with a little pointed shape here, start with a teardrop and then sort of make a scallop kind of shape. Then we'll do some little round shapes here.
Oh,
Again,
Sandra, we have
yes.
a bunch of masterclasses on facepaint.com. There's a menu for it. You can see past masterclasses, and one of them is on left-handed face painting.
There we go. And that
It
I'm
costs
sure will be
$10.
very helpful.
Yep. And what size brush is that?
This is a number 3 from King Art.
Number 3. Okay.
Yes. So I did a pointed, then 2 little round ones. Now I'm going to do another pointed shape, sort of going up toward the inner corner. And then just follow what I already have there from that one stroke from before. Do some little rounded shapes there. So that's the base of the bottom wing. If y'all can see that. And my little signature that I like to always do is add a little tendril at the bottom. So I do like a thin to thick teardrop. Again, that's the exception to the rule of above the nose. I usually just add that because I like the way it looks. No other reason. I just like it.
Sabrina loves your work, so you're in good
Thank
company.
you. I appreciate it. All right, so now we did that on this side. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Oh, also, y'all don't grip kids' heads too hard. You know, if it doesn't feel good for you, then it's probably not going to feel good for them either.
We at facepaint.com do not recommend crushing children's skulls.
Right? Just like crushing them till they cannot feel their head anymore. You know, a little bit of suggestion goes a long way. Don't have to do too much. And then,
Kara says, I count 2. Glad I'm not the only one. I also make a swoosh sounds when doing the teardrops. It absolutely helps.
I do that too. I'm like, whoop, or like just little sound effects. I think it's just our face painter sound effects, you know?
Sea creatures. Well, Sandra says, well, we should do a sea creatures masterclass. We tend to do sort of design classes, but I'd be happy to do a sea creatures just free webinar. Masterclasses, we tend to do techniques and things like that, like how to build your business or how to do faster face painting and stuff like that. So that's what we tend to do. Although, it's, no, if there's enough demand, I'm willing to do anything.
There we go. So we've got the top wing sort of done. We've got the bottom wing sort of done. I'm leaving that space open on that green area for a reason because I'm going to go back in with some lighter color. Because she is a little bit older, I am going to do a little bit of eyeliner on her. Again, make sure that you're not doing this on little ones that cannot handle that or will immediately squeeze their eyeballs shut. I know I've painted her several times before and she can handle it. So close your eyes for me. I'm just going to do a winged eyeliner with that same sangria color. Okay. Just for a little extra flair.
And so that's what you're using for the bottom lining?
Yes, same color.
Okay. Thanks.
And just adding that quick and telling them, make sure, keep your eyes closed so that that doesn't get messed up. And then since I have the blue on the top wing and I have the sangria down here, I'm also going to use the sangria to outline the body of the butterfly here. So depending on, again, how much time I have to be able to paint one of these, again, I'm normally not taking an hour to paint a butterfly, but sometimes I just do like little dots like that if I'm going really fast. But for this purpose, I'm going to do like a swirly circle swirl kind of, and then going down and adding like little U shapes, getting smaller and smaller. So depending on the day and how much time I have, it can look either way. If you look on my social media pages, you'll see that there's several different ways of doing a butterfly body. So do what feels good for you. But today we're going to use that purple area to make that circle swirl like this.
Hi, Heim. Do you ever add stars to your butterflies?
Typically no, but that stencil that I use with the little circles can definitely be stars instead. Or if you wanted to do like the little 4-point stars with your brush, you could do that too. But I typically don't. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Sorry about that. There we go. So I did that.
And the color was shimmer green that you did the eyeliner with?
For the eyeliner, it was sangria.
Sangria, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I
All
blame
right, so
myself.
so yeah, we've got that sangria for the eyeliner and for everything that's outlined on the bottom, and then we're outlining the body here with sangria as well. So we're just adding sort of U shapes going down that pink that we had there from before, and I'll add some little dots at the end like that. And then for my antenna, I usually do 2 swirls in the same direction, but one a little bit bigger than the other, and they sort of overlap. So I'm gonna go like this. Then to thick teardrop, that's all that is. Like that. At this point, you could stop. Again, we're doing more is more today. So I'm gonna get one of my round brushes that I use for my white line work. Let's see, I'll do this one. This one's also a number 3, but just one that I use for white. And it's from King Art still. And I'm going to get my Fusion white loaded up on my brush real quick. And we're going to add some highlights because right now everything looks a little bit dark for me, for my liking. So I'm going to add some little small teardrops and little dots just to add some highlights there. Any questions on anything?
What advice can you give for different types of butterfly body? Ariel Minervi said small or no body. I do a heart or bling.
Yes. So if you're a bling person, you know, you totally just use a piece of bling and call it a day. And just even if you wanted to add some antenna to the bling or like above the bling, you can do that. These are usually like my 2 options. But you can also do, let's see, you can also do like a sort of teardrop just for a super simple one and then do a little dot on top. And then for antenna, you can just do little thin to thick teardrops or swirlies or, you know, change the direction of them. There's so many different things you can do with that. And some people don't even do any butterfly body at all. I've just seen some people use like festival glitter in the center or, you know, like I said, bling. So try out different ways and see what you like best is my best advice for that. I don't use bling that often because here in Florida it's really hot and humid and a lot of the times it's like sweaty foreheads. So even when you do have good adhesive, sweat just is not my friend.
No.
So I make a lot of bling, but I don't use a lot of bling.
Okay. I don't really want to go down the whose friend is sweat, but let's leave that alone.
It's hot. It's just hot here, so we're trying our best. All right, so I've got some white loaded on here, and again, this is sort of a less is more kind of thing. I don't want to overpower everything we have going on because I do like the way the butterfly looks. I just want to lighten up a couple of different areas. So we're just going to add some little dot, a little teardrop in that other teardrop inside. And this, I'm just using the very tip of my brush. I'm not like plopping down the entirety of the brush there. And then we're going to add some, turn this way a little bit for me. Thank you. So then we're going to do some little dots, making sure you have a lot of paint on the tip of your brush to get some really nice dots. Keeping them very small.
Just to let you know, you got about 26 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. And then, whoop, I got paint in her hair. Oopsies, sorry. It's gonna stay for 10 years. No. Takes more than that to make her laugh.
Victoria asks, what is your favorite? She doesn't like Superstar for white line face painting. Is Fusion the best white for line work to make those lines pop, or what do you recommend for white line work?
For line work, I typically use Fusion for my white and for my black line work. And then for sponging white and black, I use Superstar. I know she didn't ask that, but I know that people look at my kit, they're like, why do you have 2 whites and 2 blacks? And that's why. Because I use Fusion just for line work. And then I use Superstar for my sponging. If I can't find Fusion or Fusion sold out somewhere, then I'll use Diamond Effects or Tag or Wolf. You know, those all work as well. just as long as they're more of that waxy, harder consistency, then they work well. I have the GTX white. I haven't tried that yet for my work, but I'm going to be trying that soon to sort of see, if that works well for me.
Okay. Rebecca says wolf. So
Yeah.
that's
Before Fusion, I used Wolf and Diamond Effects the most, and now Fusion's my gal. I have to have like so many of them because I go through a lot. Oh, and then also that's another little tip. So obviously Kai here has a bit of a lighter complexion. I'm a little bit darker complexion. When I'm doing my butterflies, a lot of the times whoever is my complexion or darker, I'm doing white line work for butterflies or for princess crowns or things like that. And then whoever is like sort of lighter than I am, I'm doing a darker outline just because it has the most contrast for me. And it shows up the best because I like for my face paints to look good, really up close, like how you guys are seeing this now, but also really far away. So if I'm like at a fair or a festival and I'm looking across, all these vendors and I see my face paint from a distance, I'm like, how does it look from that far as well? So that's a good rule of thumb for me. Just doing lighter line. It doesn't have to be white, but like white or yellow or pastel colors look really great on darker skin tones. So I'm just getting a little bit more white because my white dried out because I'm talking a lot. But I just got to add a few more little highlights. And those teardrops we did underneath the eye, turn a little bit more. Perfect. We're just going to add some little ones inside. Again, just the very tip of this brush and flicking it to get those little teardrop shapes. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Thank you. Little tiny flicks. One there. And you can see just these little highlights make a big difference. All right, and then we'll add, just to have some balance, we have some dots up here, so we'll do some down at the bottom as well. Doesn't have to be too crazy. With butterflies, with tigers, I'm always a less is more. You don't have to have a lot for it to make sense. All right. Sorry if you hear my dog panting in the background. He just went outside. And he's pretty loud, so. All right, so we've got all the little highlights. And like I said, I left that little green area open right there because I'm going to add some other little teardrops there. Let's see, make sure my brush is good. And I'm going to do thin to thick ones there, which I know is a very tricky area to get into, but hey, you got to be a little devilish sometimes. 1, 2, and 3. And we'll do another series of 3 on the other side. 1, 2, and 3. Cute. And you see both sides. Looking gorgeous. Oh, I think we've got a storm brewing outside.
Uh-oh. It's Florida.
Always. It's been every day like clockwork.
Sunita says, thank you for explaining about your different skin tones.
Oh, yes, of course. That's definitely something like I paint people of all different skin tones and skin types. So it's something that I don't think about as much anymore because I do it a lot. But I know for some people it does prove to be a challenge. So I always try to help in that regard as much as I can. As long as people are willing to listen, I will be glad to help. All right, so we have the body here, and since we have highlights everywhere else, we're going to add a few here. And we're just going to add a little highlight on the top of the head here, just sort of going over that. And then choose one side to add little highlights on the body. And I'm going to add some dots in the antenna. And we're nearly done, guys. We're going to add some lipstick and some sparkle and, all the fun finishing touches. So if you guys do have, more questions on anything that I did or didn't do, please let me know. I'm just going to add another little highlight on the little tendril at the bottom here. But I'm liking the way it looks. She hasn't even seen it yet, but do you like it? Trick question. All right,
Yeah.
so now I have some festival glitter. This I use the cream base from Andrea and mix my own glitters. Do you want to choose your favorite one? Ooh, I like that. So she chose this one. It's like a blue, purple, green, giving very much alien vibes, outer space. We're gonna add a little bit of that on her forehead here. And since we have space sort of here and here on either side of the body, I'm just gonna add a little bit on each side. And I like to add a little bit on the bridge of the nose. I think it's cute there. I'm not trying to cover up what I did. I'm just trying to add a little extra sparkle. So I'll add a little bit on the bottom wing. Very cute. You want some lipstick? What color lipstick would you like?
Pink, sure.
Ooh, pink gal.
Any teardrops advice?
Teardrops advice, the more you practice, the better you will get at them. And again, what I said before, just making sure that you practice both thin to thick and thick to thin. I think a lot of people sort of gravitate towards the thick to thin ones because it's easier to go from plopping down your brush to lifting up versus the other way around. But I feel like mastering a thin to thick teardrop is just a lot of control. So I feel like that is something that you need not only for your teardrops, but also for like your tiger lines, for your swirls, you know, all those things. So just practicing both. And there's some people that like some other painters that have like drill sheets and stuff. So if you need more guidance on what to do with practice, then you know I would definitely look into that and sort of finding those drill sheets where you can look at something while you're practicing. But otherwise, just doing more practice. I feel like a lot of people don't really practice as much as they should, for sure. All right, so we're gonna add some pink lippies for her. Let's see. I'm sort of mixing like a magenta color. I don't know what color this is. I'm gonna have to look at that later. But like mixing magenta and a metallic pink from Superstore just to make it a little bit darker. And then light up a little bit. Just adding that on. And then while that's wet, you can add a little sparkle with a poofer if you have it. Love these little poofer bottles. And then do kissy lips for me. Cute. I would say.
What's the best brush size to practice thick to thin?
Um, I prefer a smaller brush. I know I was using a number 3 for most of this. I would say anywhere from like a 2 to a 4 is probably good. Because that's what you're going to be reaching for the most when you're painting, especially painting smaller faces. A number 3 is the round brush that I use the most for sure.
Okay.
And both the ones that I used for the line work stuff today were number 3 rounds from King Art.
Okay. And what kind of lipstick do we sell? We sell Ben Nye Graftobian lipstick. Angelica says, what lipstick do you use?
I just use paint. So
Yes.
I used a little bit of Superstar. It was like a metallic pink, but I mixed it with a magenta color for her
Okay.
lips today. And then I used a poofer glitter bottle to add some pink glitter on top.
Okay.
Nothing too crazy.
Terry says, I'm seeing a lot of shimmer for her eyes and cheeks along the shimmer lipstick. Do you suggest a brand that is kid friendly?
Superstar is what I use the most for my shimmer / metallic paints. I know that they have some that have glitter in them. I don't personally use those, but I use the metallics a lot from Superstar and or Fab.
Okay.
Similar kinds of, you know, paints there.
Well, they're the exact same kind of paint.
Exactly. I know some
So
people are like, is it the same or not? I'm like, it is.
it is the same. It is the same.
Yes.
They just put it into split cakes.
Yes.
And is she going to swallow the glitter inevitably? I don't
Well,
know.
I always ask if they want glitter on their lips or not before I do it. I just know she likes glitter, so I figured that was a safe assumption with this one.
And on the job, you apply it with a brush, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And remember, don't swallow the glitter or else. There we go.
I know when kids like get a rainbow face like this and then they're like, I don't want any glitter. I'm like, what? What do you mean you don't want any glitter? But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. That's the entire face looking
That's
very, very fancy. Again, this is a very just extreme version of a butterfly, but you can always just take little bits and pieces and apply them to your own kind of thing. The white highlights aren't necessary. The two different colors on line work for the top and bottom aren't necessary. It just looks nice. And like I said, I usually do this kind of work, more extravagant work, when I'm working at like a birthday party or like, somewhere where I'm being paid hourly versus a paper face event.
like
Paper face.
how long would that design have taken you in real world?
Um, this one probably I would say like 6 or 7 minutes if I'm like really working through it and not talking.
Right.
But typically like my go-to on the job butterfly, if I'm doing a one-sided butterfly, I can do that in like less than 2 minutes. And then if I'm doing both sides, I can do that anywhere from like 3 to 5 minutes. It just depends on my vibe for the day. I'm
Right.
not a machine, so it varies, but
Right.
I always say, especially if you're doing a one-sided butterfly, that is where you can really pump up your speed a lot because you're not having to replicate it on the other side. So
Michelle says gorgeous. Kate Richmond says gorgeous butterfly. The colors and line work are perfect for festivals. A nice Grethel says, hi from Nicaragua. For a beginner, how many brushes and sets of paint do you think is necessary?
ooh, for a beginner, I would say having a decent amount of round brushes, especially at least for me and the kind of painting that I do, is really necessary. Um, but then when it comes to paints, like when I first started painting, I had one of the beginner palettes from like, I think it was from Wolf that had just all the basic colors. And then I got a big white and a big black. Especially when you're first starting and you're not really working too many events and you're more so doing practice at home or on your friends and family, you don't need that much. I think it's easy to be overwhelmed by like all the beautiful things and products that are coming out, year after year. But less is more. Getting your basic colors are, it's fun. And then once you get comfortable with those things and the technique that goes behind face painting, then treat yourself to some one strokes or to some arty cakes or to some angled brushes. But really and truly, you don't need a lot to make beautiful artwork. So I will preach that till the day I die.
There you go. I don't actually know what this means. Thank you. It looks like a married grass mask.
A Merry Grass map. Oh, a
Yeah.
Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras mask. Okay,
There
good.
we go. I was like, what does that
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, no, well done. I could interpret that. Thank you. What did you say the glitter cream base was? I have a lot of loose
The
cosmetics. I'd like to use
bases,
some.
yeah, I buy my base from Andrea Moye.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
glitter cream, she just sells like the glitter cream on its own, and then I mix my own glitters. I just like to. I think it's fun. But there's
Yeah,
plenty of glitter cream palettes. I know that Fusion has some. But there's like other glitter cream palettes that are already made. If you don't want to mess with the mess of glitter, I would definitely just buy glitter creams that are already made.
sure.
Which I have done that too. I like
Don't
mixing
worry,
glitters,
Jackie.
so.
And Terry wants you to repeat the skin tone optimal colors, specifically on darker skin. If you,
Oh, okay. So yeah, when you're painting someone that's a little bit lighter complexion, at least when it comes to line work things, I usually go with a darker color. So this
Mhm.
was the like an ink blue, and Axel, sit down, please. Sit. Um, so we have that ink blue, and then we have the GTX Sangria on the bottom. And then, like I said, for darker skin tones, I usually outline in white. That's just a personal preference, but I also have seen really beautiful work done with like pastel colors from Fusion when it comes to line work things. So those always look good. But I know that I may be biased because I am of a darker complexion, but I feel like colors look really good on darker skin. So I'm playing around with a lot more line work things and trying to get out of my own comfort zone too and seeing what other things I like to do besides just white line work. So those will be coming. Pictures of those kinds of things will be coming soon.
Can you show your PPF butterfly design? But this is
I don't have a picture of one right here
out,
with
so
me,
don't worry about it.
but
And what is do you do many PPF events and do you paint your own face?
oh, good questions. So I typically in the fall am more busy with paper face events. So that's like my festival and fair, and I do really well at farmers markets for some reason. So I do a lot of those in the fall when it starts getting a little bit cooler here. And typically I am not painting my face. The most I'll do on myself is just add like some festival glitter on my cheeks.
Uh-huh.
Usually I do have my makeup done because I know I take a lot of pictures and selfies with people. But I don't typically add face paint on top because I sweat. So I'm like, unless I'm using, because I do have GTX water resistant paints now. So unless I'm using something that I know will like last the entire day, I'm not one to paint my face very often unless I'm indoors.
Okay. Uh, a lot of questions. Hey,
Okay.
Barbara. What is the average price per painter, face painter should charge for an event? It really depends on your local market, I'm afraid.
It does. It does. I mean, for me personally, I charge 12, 15, and 18. 12 is for our eye design, 15 is for a half face design, and then 18 for a full face. But again, I have 14 years of experience. I'm also very fast, so I know that I'm charging my worth here. But if you're just starting out, you can't really charge the same as someone who's been doing this for a long time. So you just have to sort of gauge your market. Same as what Blake said.
Matter of fact, Yasmeen is going to come back and do a master class on speed painting. So if you want to see how fast she is,
Yes.
um, uh, can you make split cakes with Snazaroo? You can make split cakes with anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make split cakes with, well, dog food's a bad idea. Um, uh,
Do that.
and and by the way, the neons you did, Mad Mary says, by the way, the neons you did on dancers, oh my goodness, amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I finally shared it to the Facebook world. So it's been on Instagram for a little bit. I was like, man, did I ever share that on Facebook? So yeah, I did some UV body painting using Pro Air hybrids and GTX UV paints
Mhm.
and had a great time. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
And I love following and seeing your work, says Susie. And Karen says, colors in the cake you used.
I will post that later. They are all GTX colors though. I'll show it again so that if you sort of can do the math on your own.
Take a
But I will post
screenshot, put
the
it in AI, and just it'll figure it out.
right. But I do have the picture of like when I made this. I stacked up all the paints together, so I'll post that. Or if you just message me later, I'll send it to you personally.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's mostly UV colors, but a couple of the darker colors of GTX on the edges.
Okay. Well, we are out of questions.
Okay.
So, thank you, Yasmeen. Thank you all for
Thank
coming.
you.
I think this was a lot of fun.
Yes.
And we are having, needless to say, this isn't our last webinar. Next week, Mara's here, I think, or she was.
Sweet.
So we're going to have Mara Zegers on August 25th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're going to be doing birthday designs. And then we're going to be doing corresponding hand designs with Laura Penick on September 15th at 3:30. And we've probably got something in between those, but I forgot what it is. And so thank you. We're going to have obviously a masterclass with Yasmeen in a couple weeks. So I hope you guys had a great time and thank you very much. And
Thank you
thank you, Kai.
guys.
Bye bye.
Thank you, Kai. I appreciate you.